Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday. I can't remember what day it is. Wednesday, November the 13th, 2024, Wednesday of the 32nd week of the year, 32nd week in Ordinary Time. And as the morning sunrise descends upon the Camelback Mountain Range, right over here, still in Phoenix, at the Franciscan meeting that we're having here. It is a little chilly today. This morning, I think it's like in the low 40s or whatever it is, but it's very nice. Again, it's the desert, so hot during the day, cold at night. This is the Stations of the Cross, a little prayer garden that's here at the Casa at the Franciscan Renewal Center here in Paradise Valley. As the sunlight again drapes across the Camelback Mountain Range, it's quite lovely this morning. So it's also the day in which we honor Frances Xavier Cabrini, Mother Cabrini, the first U.S. citizen, although she came from Italy. She was naturalized in 1909, and she becomes the first U.S. citizen to be canonized a saint in 1946. I think it is somewhere around there. So again, in everything that's going on, again, Mother Cabrini, an immigrant who does become naturalized, becomes this great force for helping the migrant peoples, the immigrant peoples that come to the United States. Italians primarily, but also then other nationalities in New York City and in Chicago, where she dies in Chicago. So she established the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and again, their whole mission was to go forward and to help to ease the burdens, again, of people who were adjusting to different situations in their lives. Most notably, again, those who were arriving from other countries to the United States. She had hoped to go to China, but her mission, as she gets in a vision, or she gets in a statement that is said to her, is not to the east, but to the west. And so she ends up coming to the United States. So many things. Cabrini Green in Chicago, many areas named after her. Some of the areas became tenements because, again, of urban development and things like that, and they attach her name to them and stuff like that. So it needs to be some kind of healing and help that happens in those areas. But the idea was that she was courageous in being able to come to New York City. And again, there's a whole movie that was made about her by one of those private individual kind of film things. And, she does try to stand up, especially in New York City, to some of the non-Catholic machine that was running the city and not wanting her to be able to help the migrant peoples. So again, in this world in which we find ourselves now today, it's a very interesting person to celebrate, on this day, to remember her and her work and the work of, again, many women within our faith tradition who dare to stand up to power to help those who are less fortunate and those who are most in need. Our readings for today, again, the special readings for Mother Cabrini, if we are celebrating her specifically, but we continue with that letter to Titus that Paul writes. This part of it, the last chapter of the letter, basically begins with the admonition to listen to authorities and magistrates and to follow their lead. Now, who are these authorities and magistrates? Are they the Roman officials? Are they Roman governance or anything else like that? Many scripture scholars will say, no, it's talking about heavenly beings, thrones and dominions, which are kind of these levels of angels. Again, there are 7 levels of angels. I don't know them all, but one of them is thrones and dominions. And sometimes before we come to the holy, 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 after the preface in the Mass, there are some statements that talk about thrones and dominions and all the hosts and powers of heaven, acclaiming you as we say, holy, holy, holy. This whole point of coming to this point in the letter is that the believers in Crete must be aware, again, that they are supposed to be responsible and attentive to the needs of civil government, but that their lives are governed by that of heaven, by that of Christ, and of this baptism that they have received, to become this people that stand out among other peoples, this people that allow God's wonder and God's beauty to be seen and experienced, that give people another way of living in this world, and not just by the contraptions and the contrivances of human life that we as human beings set up, which are sometimes not as good as they can be or not as good as they should be. Again, this courage to live in this way, knowing that we are now people of 2 worlds, this world to come, this world that is of God's glory and God's wonder, but also this world here in which God's glory and wonder is glimpsed. And if it is embraced more and more, it becomes more and more a part of this other world that we are a part of. In the gospel day in Luke, Jesus heals 10 lepers, and only one of them comes back to say thank you. And that person is a Samaritan. So the others must have been Jewish lepers. And Jesus says, weren't 10, healed? Why did only one come back? Where the other 9? And Jesus doesn't basically curse them for making them lepers again, for not coming back and saying thank you. But Jesus is attentive to the fact that this non-Jewish person recognized something wonderful and glorious had happened to him and came back, to show gratitude and appreciation and wonder, that this was given to this individual who, by some rights, should have received nothing, because this person was a Samaritan and a person who was, a contrary a Jew because they intermarried and they were not true Jews and all kinds of things like that. It's the sense in which always we just shouldn't take for granted that God will help and just move on with our lives. There needs to be this sense in which kindness and gratitude, the 2 most important words that we can say, or phrases that we can say to each other, is thank you and I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't do either of those well, and this is a gospel that kind of helps us to remember that with those 2 words, again, the wonder and beauty of who and what God is for us shines forth, and the wonder and beauty of what this world can be in God's eyes can be revealed more and more. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God, from here in the desert. May the Lord give you his peace.